guys, welcome back to Book Club for Movies. This week we're going to talk about the 2 movies I've seen, and we're going to talk about a couple other things. Primarily, what I've picked up and the reasons why since we last spoke. The first movie I saw since we spoke last was I finally sat down. I've had this for about a year or so. I finally sat down and watched Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat. Because this one, it just always comes up when you look for horror comedies. Now, I am the type of person who loves a horror comedy. I love, you give me some stuff from the 80s and the early 90s with practical effects. You give me that. You give me a bit of a schlocky premise. Oh, I'm there. This movie is about a town full of vampires that wear sunscreen, and they are sick and tired of drinking synthetic blood. And that's the premise, and I'll tell you, it's not the best movie. This is not a diamond in the rough. There are a couple scenes that are outright hysterical, like when there's some prisoners that show up, and the prison is right across the street from the diner. And you see all these vampires just with their faces pressed against the glass, just, oh, so hungry for blood. Stuff like that, I'm game for. We've got a minor role by Bruce Campbell, who I'm always a big fan to see. Love Bruce Campbell. He's always giving everything, his everything, for lack of a better term. But I'll tell you, this movie has a scene in it that almost brought me to tears. Because there are certain things that make me feel like a big Walmart bag full of water. I don't know if you've ever had the unfortunate time where you've put liquid in a Walmart bag, but there's always a hole somewhere, and then it just starts coming out, and it doesn't come out slowly. What almost did that in this film is the ending. Now, I'm not spoiling the movie, because this, even though I ended up giving it about a 2.5 out of 5, I did not waste my time at all. It gave me exactly what I was looking for. It was silly. It was schlocky. You know, you got to see George Buck Flower not play a hobo. When does that ever happen? But the ending of this movie, there's a scene where we've got our good vampires versus our bad vampires, and a cross is erected, and the bad vampires, of course, recoil in misery as they start to burn, and our good vampires, just instinctively start to recoil, and then they slowly raise their hands because the cross has no effect on them, because they've been forgiven. And it's just, oh, that'll do it. That'll do it. You give me a scene where somebody just says we've been forgiven. Oh, that'll rip me to shreds. Essentially, I'm a big old softy, especially if you throw stuff like that in, a movie like Sundown, A Vampire in Retreat. This is going in the McKay's bag. I don't think I'm ever going to see this again. I'm not, it doesn't have enough moments where it's like, let's pop that in. You need to see this. But, it didn't waste my time. It was okay. It was okay. If you know somebody who watches a lot of horror and, horror comedies or comedies in general, you have to wade through so much schlock to get to the good stuff. This is almost there. This is right below the good stuff. It's a lot better than all the stuff beneath it. But somebody else, I'm sure, is looking for this in their collection. As I've told you all before, if I don't love a movie, it's my responsibility to help circulate it, to get out to those people who are looking for it. So if you're at McKay's and you see this movie, there's a pretty good chance it was me who put it there. So, with that, The Vampire in Retreat is going into my McKay's bag for my next trip. Now, last night, I watched a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful film. Last night, I sat down and I asked my wife this time to grab a couple movies from there. And through just, simple, not that one, she didn't want that one, she read the back of that one, we ended up watching Hail Caesar. And when I tell you, this movie is fantastic. It really is. There's something about a later era Coen Brothers movie where everybody involved is just kind of saying whatever the Coens want, we'll do it. This movie is about essentially the head of physical production for a film studio in the golden era of film, where stars are permanently signed to contracts, the studio owns their image, there's nothing they can do but just essentially show up, be squeaky clean, and do their lines. And this is about somebody running behind the scenes to make sure that everything goes as planned. Josh Brolin is exceptional in this film. I didn't know he had this type of character in him because I've only really seen him play, real gruff people, not somebody that's a little more soft-edged. He's fantastic in this movie. Now, I'll tell you, there are a couple scene-stealing performances in this film. When I watched this movie, this is the second time that I've seen Alden Ehrenreich, the first time being in Ron Howard's Solo. Alden Ehrenreich should have gotten a supporting actor nomination from this film. He is fantastic. This is a movie I can't wait to watch again, honestly. Bearing the lead here, this movie is going on the shelf over there. I can't wait to watch Hail Caesar again. Everybody in here is giving it their all. Okay, Ralph Fiennes is in 1.5 scenes, and he is absolutely pitch perfect in this film. Scarlett Johansson is great. Channing Tatum is fantastic because he only has, 5 lines of dialogue and then just dances the rest of the time? They know Channing Tatum can't act, but he can dance. There's... George Clooney's good in this movie. It's not his best performance, but everybody around him is, giving their all. The sets are beautiful. The cinematography is immaculate. When I tell you, every shot in this film is absolutely beautiful, and it really hits you when you see a scene like when they're with Frances McDormand's character. Frances McDormand has a brief role as a film editor. The shots in that scene are some of the best I have seen, period. If I can, I'll superimpose some in here. I tried last week to throw in some shots about the movie I was talking about when I was talking about Birds of Prey, and Warner Brothers blocked the video worldwide for having shots from the trailer. So I don't know what I'm going to be able to show here. Hopefully more than just screenshots so you can really see the shots in motion. But everybody in this film is great. Tilda Swinton has a really, really, really minor role. She's fantastic. This movie was really, really good. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. It kind of, it meanders. It meanders in the middle. It really does almost bottom out. But it bottoms out in a way that I kind of enjoy because we don't, I worry. I really do worry that the generation right after me, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're not really going to have these throwbacks or understand or appreciate these throwbacks to an earlier era of film. Because, it seems like in the 90s, in the early 2000s, there were a whole bunch of these. They were almost cliche. I mean, I would love for a Last Action Hero to come out now. I still want to see Last Action Hero. I know people are very divided on that film, but from the premise, it sounds great to me. I worry that the next generation doesn't get the full appreciation for this era of film. Because they live in the era where every star has, 18 controversies, 16 social media accounts. You know, they get canceled for an interview clip that resurfaces 30 years later. Stuff like that. You know, they don't really get to understand the era of there's a fixer running around to make sure that, you know, potentially you may have to adopt your own child so that nobody knows you had a child out of wedlock. This movie I got at McKay's for $6.95 in store credit. Let me see if I can get a better shot of this. This movie I got at McKay's for $6.95 in store credit. And I can't wait to watch this movie again. I'm going to put this on my shelf. And the next time somebody tells me what's the best movie you've seen this year, now we've got a tie. We've got a battle going on. Because right now the best movie I've seen this year, it might be Scream 2, Bad Times at the El Royale, or Hail Caesar. Who else is saying that this year? You follow me, you're going to get different opinions than who might get from anybody else. Hail Caesar is a movie I can't wait to watch again. I'm not lying to you all. I want to watch the movies this references. I want to watch anything that comes close to this movie. This was wonderful. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the last time the Coens made a movie together and it went to theaters. Because Buster Scruggs just went straight to Netflix, and now the Coens are making movies separately from each other. So if this is the last movie that got released in theaters that they both worked on, they're going out on a high. I'll say that. If I'm incorrect about that, I'll drop that here in the edit. But if this ends up being the last true Coen Brothers movie with a theatrical release, they didn't fizzle out. So Hail Caesar got a 4 out of 5, and it's going to join the movies on my permanent keep shelf. Now, let's talk about my topic for the week. My topic for the week is when it comes to how to not panic buy as a collector. Even though I wouldn't call myself a collector, as I talked about in my first video, where I don't collect, I have a library that I add to and remove titles from. I really do my best to not spend every single cent I have on movies. I do my best to not have my house overflowing with Blu-ray discs. You know, I've got a shelf, and I've got a smaller shelf, and outside of that, that's my limit. It's like I said, I'm glad that movies are my thing and not video games, because if I had a physical copy of every game that I owned on Steam, I wouldn't fit in this room. And I do my best to not panic buy. I've got a couple hundred movies on my Amazon wish list. And I more keep those on there just so I can be aware of when I'm at a secondhand retailer, when I'm at somewhere else and I see a movie, how does it compare to the Amazon price and the Amazon used listing? But there was a movie that got a release this year that I was very almost about to pre-order. Vinegar Syndrome is a label that has, they're now putting out normal movies, for lack of a better term. Vinegar Syndrome is now actually putting out more normal movies. And one of their more normal movies for them was they announced that they were putting out Dirty Work, the Norm Macdonald comedy, on 4K. Now that would have been enough for me, because Dirty Work only had one Blu-ray release. It was by a smaller company by the name of Olive Films, and that Blu-ray was always expensive. That Blu-ray was always $30, $40. It was a Blu-ray, no special features. It was just, if you want to own Dirty Work, you can own Dirty Work. And then when Vinegar Syndrome announced they were putting out Dirty Work on 4K, they put an amendment onto that announcement. They said, we're not just putting out Dirty Work on 4K. We've gone back to the work print, and we've done our best to restore the harder, dirtier cut of Dirty Work. And that's when it got me turning. That's when I got those wheels turning. Feeling like I can finally see the closer thing to Norm Macdonald and Bob Saget's vision. And then the 4K went on pre-order. And I said, oh, for many reasons. First thing is that slipcover. I can't have that slipcover on my shelf over there. Absolutely not. That slipcover turns my stomach. No. And then I saw the price, and I said, oh, that is steep. That's steep. And it's Vinegar Syndrome. It's not like it's Criterion. It's not like it's Shout, where, there's going to be many copies. Vinegar Syndrome is very much, we've got this number, and if you go to their website, you'll see that number tick down every single day. And I said, well, if Dirty Work, comes into my life at a good price, I'll pick it up. And then I saw it got listed on Amazon. Got listed on Amazon at that $50, $60 price. And I said, oh, I can't drop $50 on a movie. I can't drop $50 on a movie. Even if it's a movie like Dirty Work, which is essentially the best representation we have of the Norm Macdonald comedy on film. I wish Norm was still around. I love Norm. The Norm Macdonald podcast was the greatest podcast ever to come out. We need more anti-podcasts in the current era that are, I can only imagine if Norm was still making that show nowadays. So I added it to my wish list. Then I got a notification. Hey, Dirty Work is now on sale. Dirty Work can be yours for $32.99. Now, my wife and I are doing our best not to purchase from Amazon for many reasons. One just being how often you can easily have Amazon coming to your house every single day. But I said, that's a sale. That doesn't normally happen. And I asked my wife, do you have anything you need on Amazon? And she said, I've got something that can't wait till the next order. And I said, good, because I think I'm about to spend $30 on a movie. She knows that's rare for me, because we've talked about my sweet spot. Which means I got Dirty Work on 4K. I can't wait to watch this movie. I've not seen it since right after Norm died, and the fact that I can now see the harder, edgier cut of this film, and because Vinegar Syndrome put it out, if you want to, they've got the 2-hour work print on one of these discs. I can't wait to watch this. And then FOMO struck in, because you know what happened. Enough people like me decided to buy this film, it's out of stock on Amazon. You can still buy it. You can still buy it from Vinegar Syndrome's website for as long as that lasts. It's on sale. Not as cheap as it was on Amazon. I start off by saying I try not to panic buy. But then something like this happens, and it's like, well, let me delete the app. Let me not get the notifications. Let me not open my cart to see all of the price fluctuations that have happened on the movies that I'm interested in. But this is a Vinegar Syndrome that I actually am going to keep. The first Vinegar Syndrome I had ever bought was a movie by the name of Deadline. I purchased in New York City at a boutique retailer. And I took it home. It was the first Vinegar Syndrome I'd ever bought. I put it in. The movie was terrible. Gem of Canadian horror cinema. It was not. Poster was great. But like I said, Vinegar Syndrome is now putting out closer to actual movies. We're not gonna have another Norm Macdonald. I really can't wait to see this movie again, especially in 4K. Now, I meant to talk about this in my other video, linked here, about DVD and Blu-ray region formats, is most 4K discs are region free. You have to do some research because there's a couple movies. It's very random. There's a couple 4Ks that are region coded. but a majority of all other 4K discs are region-free, which is great because chances are in the next year or so, I'm going to import the 4K of Apocalypse Now, since the US release is kind of out of print and the price keeps going up. Of course, if it's a multi-disc release, the 4K will be region-free, but all of these supplementary Blu-rays will be region-coded. Now, once I actually have an out-of-region release, I will show you all the various workarounds that I have and the costs related to them. But that's not the only movie I picked up this week. This is very rare for me. I'm doing my best. We're limiting our supplementary spending, our miscellaneous spending. My wife and I have $100 each that we say this is your fun money for the month. Spend it with cash, so that way you don't have to worry about your credit card bills going up or you're not having enough money in the bank and stuff like that. So the first movie I picked up last week ended up being Dirty Work. And I'd like to say that's it for this week's segment. But, roll the bumper again. I picked up some more titles this week. Now, it's very unheard of. What happened? I opened Facebook Marketplace. I generally don't find anything that I'm interested in Facebook Marketplace. But when I opened Facebook Marketplace this week, I saw a man about 40 minutes away, and he had listed dozens of boutique labels. It was very clear because you could see the corner of another movie in the cropped shot of the listing, and he was selling them for about $10 to $15 each. And some of these are out of print. Some of these go for more than that. So I ended up picking up some more stuff this week. The first movie that I picked up, because I picked up 4 from this guy. I picked up 5 movies in the last week, which outside of a McKay's trip is unheard of. I'm out of fun money for the month. But the first movie I picked up from this guy is the Vinegar Syndrome release of Fade to Black on Blu-ray. If you've not heard of this movie is an interesting idea. I wanted to rewatch it because the only place you could see this movie for years was on Shudder, and this is going to be better quality than the Shudder release. It's essentially about a film fanatic in the 80s who gets a little too obsessed, has a mental break, and starts, believing he's actually in the films and, stuff like that. It's not a horror film. It's very much more of a character piece with a little bit of a thriller thrown in. It's got a cheesy tagline. Eric Binford lives for the movies. Sometimes he kills for them too. But it's not a horror film. It's not a slasher. It's very much more of a schlocky thriller, I'd say. It's more of a character study about the type of person this killer is. And I'd love for somebody to remake it with that modern cinephile mindset. I think it's primed for a remake. But I really wanted to rewatch the original. And for $10, I couldn't pass that up. Even if I rewatch it and decide to trade it in, I'd much rather pay $10 to some guy locally than buying it on Amazon. But these other 3, I haven't seen. And I've been trying to, stock up on some horror for the upcoming fall season. These 3 are full-on horror films. I've got the Shout release of Alone in the Dark, which the only thing I know about this movie is it is a slasher with multiple Oscar winners or multiple Oscar nominees in it. You got Martin Landau, Jack Palance, and Donald Pleasance. I don't know the rest of the plot. I think it's about asylum. I think it's about mental escapees from an asylum go on a killing spree. But, you give me... Now, again, when it comes to boutique releases, I do not typically like I don't like the new art. For me, I really like the poster. I don't care if the poster was bad. I really like seeing the original posters on things like this, which is why I'm always glad when a boutique or whoever puts out the original poster as a reversible insert. So this poster, you give me a man a hatchet in the moonlight. Oh, there's blood on the hatchet. Oh, I'm there. Absolutely, I'm there. I can't wait to see this. Especially since I saw Jack Palance in City Slickers. I know, it's an entirely different genre, but that does not discount how great Jack Palance is in City Slickers. Can't wait to see this movie. Next movie I picked up from that guy. Oh, by the way, I got a bundle. He had these movies listed individually, but I asked him if he would do a bundle of throwing in all four for $40. It should have cost me $50, but my guess was I was the first one to bite. I may have been the only person to really look at his listings, because I'm weird. So, individually you can say I got these for $10 each, even though on paper some of these were more expensive. But the next movie I got was, I'm going to take off the slipcover. Now, I'm sure I'll talk about this later. I'm not a slipcover guy. There are the scum of the earth, the literal scum of the earth in the physical media community, will buy a movie like this, and they will take the slipcover and they'll sell it on eBay, because there are people out there who say if it doesn't have the slip, I'm not going to buy it. I don't understand those people. I am just marginally above the people who just buy the loose disc, essentially. I need something on my shelf that I can grab. I need a case. I need something. I'm going to take off the slipcover for this movie. But I picked up The Burning. I can't wait to see this movie. I've heard it described as the best summer camp set slasher film. And the lead actor is Jason Alexander from Seinfeld with hair. Oh, I can't wait to see this. I don't need to know anything else about it. You give me a Jason-esque killer running around. I know this one's supposed to be gory based on the sticker here that gives me a warning that says the Summer Camp Slasher Classic in all of its gory glory. The Burning. It will take you further than fear. I can't wait to see this movie. It sounds like a good time. It sounds like it could be a better Friday the 13th film. If I can ever find Jason X on 4K at a cheaper price, hell, I might import Jason X from Spain and get a discount on the Blue. But can't wait to see The Burning. Now, The Burning is one of those movies like the third Scream film, or all the Scream films up until, The Burning is one of those movies that's kind of got like another monster hanging over it, because this is the first film produced by the Weinsteins, and Harvey had a case that actually dated back to this film, so there's another horrific monster attached to this. That's kind of what's made rewatching the Scream films so interesting. Is Scream 3 actually has a focal point about these monsters in Hollywood, and the movie was produced by the Weinsteins. Scream 3 was actually better than I anticipated upon rewatch this last year. It's aged better than it should have. I'll say that. But the last movie I ended up getting from this guy on Facebook Marketplace is another slasher, but it's The Intruder. I know next to nothing about this film. I just know that this is a film, it's a slasher film, set in a grocery store. As somebody who used to work at a grocery store, worked closing shifts, worked opening shifts, you tell me there's a slasher movie set in a grocery store? I'm interested in seeing, how do people die? How do they take out the killer? Now, I know this movie has a brief cameo by Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi. I know that. I don't know anything else about this film. I tried to look up the director, Scott Spiegel, but doesn't look like he really made anything of substance. I saw that his other films listed in his name are like the second From Dusk Till Dawn and the third Hostel, which I didn't even know existed. So hopefully this one's good. I'm always hopeful that somebody's got one good in them. But yeah, I don't really have a broader topic this week. Just really wanted to share my thoughts on those two movies again. Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat, it's going to McKay's. Hail Caesar is going on the shelf. And I look forward to coming back to you all in the next couple weeks. And hopefully, maybe, I will have seen one of the 4 I picked up from that guy. Maybe I'll have seen Dirty Work again. Oh, one last thing. My 2 subscribers may have noticed that my channel title has changed. I went back to Schlocky because it wasn't taken. When I Googled the original name for this show, the Book Club for Movies, there wasn't any Google results. There was a Reddit post saying, why aren't there book clubs for movies? But I didn't decide to actually search for it on YouTube. Come to find out, there's a couple other people that have had this exact same idea for a channel. So the channel's name is Schlocky. We are at Schlocky on YouTube. But the show is called Book Club for Movies. If I make more shows, as I hope to do, you'll find them here on the Schlocky channel. I'll see you all next week on the Book Club for Movies. Have a good week, everyone.